This broadcast, telecast, podcast, and whatever the hell else it is copyrighted by the Rad Network and the Rob and Steve Sports Show, all found at theradnetwork.com, and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, account, or description to this madness, without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's really mean lawyers, is prohibited. So just don't do it. It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Now Norwood tries to kick his longest ever on grass, 47 yards. No good. Wide right.
Welcome to 2 hours of sports and nothing but sports.
Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all.
Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
4th and 5, the national championship on the line right here. He's going for the corner. He's got it. Vince Young scores.
And now the Rad Network presents the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Preseason football underway, more to come. Lots going on in baseball. Yesterday, for the start of the show, we were talking about the cost of youth sports, not just financially, but on your relationships, on your kids, on your time, and how it's gotten so expensive. Landon Donovan, former soccer captain's like, hey, if you live in a house where you make 50 grand or less, you don't even have access after third grade to really competitive youth sports. We did it all yesterday. If you missed it, it's always posted at theradnetwork.com. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe if you do. We post them on Spotify as well. Got a text from my mom. Not objective at all, obviously. She's our biggest fan. Truth be told, she likes Steve more than me on the show. That's okay. It's okay. She's never said it out loud, but I know. It's okay. She loves Steve, and that's cool. But she sent me a really nice text yesterday. Every parent that has a kid in sports or is thinking about having a kid should be forced to listen to your segment. I'm in shock. I had no idea this kind of stuff was going on. I know it went on in cheerleading when the girls, my sisters, were cheerleading, and we're going back 40 plus years. But that was minor compared to the sports stuff you were talking about. It's actually pretty darn sad. All the kids that will miss out on the opportunity just because of affordability or lack thereof. She's right. She can be my mom all she wants, but she's right. And as I said yesterday when we were talking, I don't know how far my parents would have gone if it was today's time, because my parents were borderline obsessed with my bowling and my baseball, and I loved it, and they wanted to. I know they already pushed their limits at our time when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s.
And that's one of the things, as parents you have to make, but things like this, when you hear stories of parents taking out a second mortgage so their kids can continue to play, these are the reasons, because as a parent you have a responsibility. And I'll tell you, every parent goes through that. Am I screwing my kid up? Do I know what I'm doing? None of us know what we're doing. You just love them, be there for them, do the best you can, and these are some of the decisions that you're going to have to decide what's best for your family. And I hope you don't go too far and live out of a trailer or something like that instead of a house, if you can afford the house, because you have to do the travel league and all of that other stuff. But that's our goal as parents, to make the children the best people they can be, and hope you raised them right. And every one of us are individual. I mean, you can have multiple kids. I have 3 kids. Every kid's entirely different from each other. And it's all in our genetics. And do the best you can, love them, be there for them, and hope they turn out all right.
I haven't. All your kids are adults, right? What do they range? What, 20?
34, 32, and 28.
Oh, Jesus. Only because time flies. And we've talked before. It's not that we don't care. We do talk about family stuff, but it's kind of on a tertiary level, and it's usually more when one of us needs support from the other, sort of thing. But just in getting to know your kids through you, because I've met none of them, the differences between your son, your daughter, and your daughter, and your daughter, and your daughter, and your son, and your other daughter. I'm like, these all came from the same 2 humans that I've met and know, you and your wife. It's wild. And ethereally, right? You always hear that. of things that you know that you're doing the kids don't like. They'll learn to respect when they grow up. That's the disciplinary stuff. But you alluded to the big thing that kids and parents alike are, I hope, are getting and need to get better at. The best, most kindest, most well-intentioned parents are going to screw up, and they're not
Mhm.
even going to know it sometimes. And they might find out decades later when their grown kid comes to them and says, "Hey, Dad, this has bothered me my entire adult life," and Dad's like, "I don't remember what we're talking about," because it was like a passing comment, but not to that 6-year-old brain or whatever. And so if you take out the bad parents, we all know what we're talking about there. Even if you're doing your best and you're trying to raise good humans, you're gonna screw up, and hopefully your kids are gonna realize that as they grow up and go, "Yeah, but they tried their hardest and they're human and they screwed
Mhm.
up." That's
Just do your best, and you're going to have that doubt in your mind. It hits every parent. There's no way that doesn't hit your parents. In fact, I tell you, hits you as a thought. I had it many, many, many a times. So,
don't you still at times?
I
Don't
I
you
I
think?
s- I still do. The best part is now. Um, is understanding that they listened to you and heard you a lot more than you thought they did. You
Yeah.
don't, as a parent, you don't think anything gets through them. They only listen to their friends. But now that my kids are grown and that took probably about till they're 30, because my son's still not there. Dad still knew nothing at all. But normally it gets into their 30s, and when they have their own kids, and then suddenly it's like, you know what? I heard you, and you were right a lot more often than you were wrong.
Now, were you? I assume no is the answer. You did you catch any of the Field of Dreams game last night? Since you don't have Netflix, anything? Nothing.
I watched one play, and it was the Schwarber home run that was off the glove that went over. Which, if Keishel had held onto that ball, what that'd have been a poster right there. Field of Dreams. You got the cornfield in the background. That fence, here it is. I'm up over the fence, robbing a home run. That would have been a shot that he would have held on for ages. Nope, off the end of the glove and into the corn.
Was that the
That was it.
second one? Was that the
That
second one or the
yeah,
first one?
that
The
was the
second.
second one. And it because I was working out of my office and I don't have Netflix up in my office, so I got to watch football, not baseball.
I did. I only flipped over a little bit as we've talked about. I have Netflix. I had it before sports. I love Netflix, but streaming still presents that challenge. If I'm, as I was, in the middle of watching 3 NFL games, preseason games, oh, and some really good baseball was on last night too, Brewers, Dodgers, I forget what else. They're all coming in on one feed, in my case, a satellite feed. Well, I don't just get to hit previous channel on the remote and there's Netflix and the Field of Dream games. I got to change the input. I got to go over first world problem. Yeah, but I'm also missing 30 seconds of action in 5 different football and baseball games, etc. So I watched a little, just a little bit. I did get to see, and that's why I asked. That was the second one, right? Because I saw Schwarber's first homer. We'll give you the rundown here in a second. I thought of you right away because you said, "Hey, better." You got to hit one into the, and he did. So some good things that came out of it, I thought. Major League Baseball came back to the Field of Dreams and they had the pregame pomp before the Twins and the Phillies played. I thought this was so cool when they're adjacent to the farmland of the 1989 film. 26 members of the Hall of Fame emerged from the outfield corn just as the ghost players did in the movie. And at the very beginning, I was like, what are we doing? Is this a little campy? And it got I got goosebumps. It was just a cool moment as the capacity crowd of 8,000 soaked up the atmosphere as all of these retired stars strolled in for their introductions. Phillies third baseman Mike Schmidt and Steve Carlton wore Phillies uniforms along with Jim Catt, who played, or Cott, who played for the Twins and Phillies. Mauer and Bert Blyleven had their Twins jerseys on, and then the others. Andrew Jones, thank God he was there. Harold Baines, Fred McGriff, Adrian Beltre, Andre Dawson, Larry Walker, Cal Ripken Jr., Yvonne Rodriguez, Jim Thome, Scott Rowland, Tony Perez, Tony La Russa, Jeff Kent, Fergie Jenkins, Joe Torre, CeCe Sabathia, Billy Wagner, Raleigh Fingers, Lee Smith, and Trevor Hoffman. Sheesh, what a list. All formed a half ring around the diamond to represent 1/3 of the living Cooperstown contingent. The biggest gathering, by the way, at a ballpark since the 2008 final game at the old, or at, I'm sorry, the All Star game at the old Yankee Stadium when they all there. And then the players wore throwback uniforms, twins in their home threads from the 1961 home season, their first season, and the Phillies in their road jerseys from 1940. I thought all of that was well done. It's what you should do. Again, I didn't watch a ton of the coverage. I don't know about the corn bat or the dog with corn relish or any of that, but all of that sat well with me.
Yes, that would have been wonderful to see. Little thing out to the Field of Dreams for next year, because as you were explaining that, because I did not get to see it. Something that, and I don't know if it's time restricted and if it can happen, but one of the things I think would be really cool is as the players came out, they grabbed a ball out of a ball bag and they all paired up just like they did in the movie, and they
Uh,
just start playing catch for like 2 minutes, throw the ball a couple of times back and forth, and then went. Because I saw a clip of because Cody Clemens is Roger Clemens's kid, and Roger was in a
yeah.
Red Sox uniform and they played catch, and that's part of it. It's that whole father son playing catch, and that would have been really really cool to see for future. So if you're out there listening, just you don't need them to play catch for 5-10 minutes. Just line up like they did, throw the ball back and forth, and then that would be
Hey,
so cool to see.
it's an event. You got the
Yeah.
time. Use it. And I think they do want to grow. Kevin Costner, who was at the first one, he wasn't at this one. He was, but he narrated the pregame thing. So they oh, one more suggestion. I don't know if we made it overtly. Get it off Netflix. This
Oh
is the
yeah.
kind of thing you should be, Major League Baseball, highlighting to the world,
Mhm.
not only to people who are paying for a streaming service. This is the put fine. You got to make money. Going to be a streaming services. You're going to put games on there that Steve's not going to see, and he's going to be mad. This though should have been on broadcast, NBC, whatever, Fox for all to see. There wasn't. Yep.
Hold on. Let me add to this. As you were saying this, you and I have talked about, and I know they can't really move the Hall of Fame game, but wouldn't it be cool if, we've talked about the old timers games, and as one other highlight of this whole weekend, they had the players come out who and the old timers, and they actually then played a little bit of a scrimmage game if they wanted to play, just to add to that as well. Man, I would go to the Field of Dreams if I could sit down and I could see, like Ryan Sandberg playing, Mike Schmidt playing, just seeing these National League against American League Hall of Famers. And I know Ryan Sandberg has passed, but
Yeah, that would be tough.
well, hey, that would be part of the movie if I could actually get him out of the cornfield to come play. That's what it was.
You
But
could do it with the AI and holograms these days, but
yeah, just have that get 3 innings, and
hey,
maybe we can get Luke Appling at 75, who hit a home run in one of those old timer games. Somebody else like that could go deep into the cornfields.
oh, geez, I mean, just look at these 26 guys who walked out.
Yeah.
First of all, that's enough to field separate teams. There's plenty of pitching, and I think there's a position player everywhere. You got Steve Carlton, pitcher. Schmidt's playing third base. Jim Cott. You got Mowers, the catcher. I don't know how much he wants to catch. Let him stand for 3 innings. I don't care. Andrew Jones, he can ride the bench. Harold Baines, Fred McGriff. You got a DH and an outfielder in there if you need him. Beltray, Andre Dawson, Cal Ripken. We got an infielder there. Another catcher, Von Rod. I mean, come on. You could do all these 26. And Fergie Jenkins, yes, let him close it. Come on. That would be so much fun.
Wouldn't it?
What a great idea. All right, look, there was a game too as we watched the players walk out. This goes for like 2 minutes, and it's so cool. This is also the thing, back to the Netflix thing, as you watch this. It ain't the same on YouTube. It ain't the same this morning. It's not. It's cool. It's cool. Well, I'm speaking personally. Watching it happen and develop, because I started at the beginning. That is when I watched. To me, it just took me there. It was such a great, the Raleigh fingers. Look at this guy.
Oh,
I mean, Jeff Kent. I didn't see who the other guy was.
Tony
It
La
was.
Russa.
Oh, was that Larissa? It's such a great
In the
moment.
Hall of Fame jersey was Tony La Russa.
Oh, I mean, it's just such a cool moment, and they're all smiling. Who's that? On Padres.
Trevor
Is that
Hoffman.
Trevor? Yeah, that's Trevor Hoffman.
Yes.
The fans. Oh, Joe Torre in his Yankee uniform.
Oh.
And the players, the actual players that are there, who all spoke afterwards about how surreal this whole thing was. Watching these guys come in. There was a baseball game. We said Schwarber led off the Field of Dream games with a homer. He connected later for a 2-run shot in the 4th inning, right into the cornfield. Although the one in the 4th inning, as Steve said, whoop, off the mitt. The Phillies won. Wasn't a great game. They won 7-1 over the Minnesota Twins. And they had all the players walk in, and they lined up, and there they go, one by one, and such. So let's get to the baseball of this. The Twins are 3.5 back in the American League Central. They are for the wild card a game back. Currently in the American League, Yankees, Red Sox. We'll get to this as predicted yesterday. If everything ended right now, the Tigers, the Detroit Tigers would be the American League wild card. Half game behind them is the Rangers, and then the Twins who we talked about yesterday. Won't go away, but they did lose. The Phillies, they're 9 games back of the Braves now after Steve yelled at me. Just berated me earlier this week for even suggesting that they had a shot to catch the Braves. Obviously, he was right. And obviously, I'm being facetious. No game today because they got to go back to Minnesota this weekend. Philadelphia is at Minnesota. Tomorrow, it's Luzardo. And on Sunday, it's Painter versus Kramer. Steve, look, the Twins, we keep saying they got to go away. They have to, right? They can't make it. Big series. They'll continue it in Philadelphia. And I guess we'll see what we're talking about Monday as it relates to Minnesota.
Yeah, and last night's game, Aaron Nola's been a hard luck pitcher, really struggled for a lot. Finally got run support. There it was. They hung 7 runs up. That's probably more runs than they've scored for him in his last 5 outings combined. It's good to see. But the Twins, again, in that division, just like the AL West, nobody's trying to take command there. That's why we see the Tigers back in this. It's why the Rangers, even though they can lose 3 out of 4 to the Angels, are still sitting right there competing for that division too.
All right, another little feel-good moment from baseball yesterday. The kind of stuff that people say, and it sounds so corny and cliched, that sports are all about outside of winning and losing and all those other things we talk about that is great and teaches us, etc. Cade Cavalli retired the first 15 Cubs before Dansby Swanson walked to lead off the 6th. Cavalli went on to strike out 10 in a career-high 8 innings. He took a no-hitter into the 7th as the Nationals routed the Cubs 7-0. Okay, there's a lot we can talk about as it relates to them and the Cubs and stuff, which we will. The really cool part of this story that I think does translate if you want to go watch it, because there's a lot more to it on YouTube, etc., was before the game yesterday, Cavalli completely interrupted his usual pregame routine. That's not a small thing for a Major League Baseball player to do. He did it through the Make-A-Wish Foundation because 6-year-old Lincoln Knight was there, who had been granted his wish. He wanted to be the Nationals coach for one day. He had a locker right next to Cavalli, his favorite player. He told Cavalli before the game, throw breaking pitches down and away to Pete Crow Armstrong. So he took his job seriously. Cavalli broke from his usual pregame regimen of headphones in, binder out, hair drenched in sweat, and instead signed arm sleeves, put him in Knight's locker, etc. Goes out, throws this great game. The visuals of all of these Nationals players high-fiving him, making him part of the team. He's right at the top of the steps of the dugout. The thing that got me, though, was the post-game interview with Cavalli with this kid, with 6-year-old Lincoln, and all Cavalli is doing is saying, Lincoln did it. He told me what to do. I threw it for Lincoln. I want Lincoln to travel with us. This is the best game. It was so extraordinary. I don't know anything about Cade Cavalli other than he's one of my favorite players right now in the game today because of this.
Yeah, and baseball players are really superstitious. You got to believe that there's a good chance that, well, if it's a home game, that he will be there. Or he'll probably be in the dugout if they permit it. just to allow it to happen. And great for the kid. I mean, this is an amazing experience. I hope Cavalli wins every game. He wins on the road. They fly him with the team, and this kid's make a wish just turns into something. It's already unbelievable at what has happened, and then for Cavalli to go out and throw that one hitter, the 8 innings and just let it ride. I want to see this continue for as long as it possibly can.
Agreed. And the pure joy coming from the players and from Logan, just exceptional. Just somewhat adjacent. I've worked with a lot of charities over the years. There are some that have this great reputation that suck and they do a horrible job. Won't mention those. I will tell you, Make a Wish is extraordinary. They are as incredible as they seem, and the things, the hoops that they have to jump through. Again, we don't need to dive into it. We got a lot of sports to talk about, but imagine what it takes to get Major League Baseball and a professional team of 25 egos plus all on board to do what they did, and they did a great job. As I said, though, baseball continues. Nationals, who cares? They beat the Cubs, though. Was it 7-0, 7-1, whatever the hell it was. Which brings us to the Cubs are 4 games back from the Brewers in the Central. That is a legitimate conversation to have about whether or not the Cubs are going to catch the Brewers. Steve let me have that one yesterday. They're atop the National League wild card by a big margin. This weekend, not necessarily the Twins of the National League, but these damn Cardinals, who are 3 games back in the wild card. They have to go through the Marlins and the Diamondbacks to get to the Phillies, but they're right there, ish. Will they be after the weekend? As today, the St. Louis Cardinals are in Chicago with Libator against Clay Holmes.
Yeah, Libator is supposed to be the ace of this Cardinals team going into the season. He's sitting at 5-9 on the year, ERA a little over 5, and he has not been performing well in his last 3 outings either. 0-2, ERA of over 5 there as well. WHIP for the last 3, 1.57. Clay Holmes, this was the big acquisition that the Cubs had along with Gosman at the top of that rotation to give them some depth there and make this run at the Brewers to win this division. We all believe they're going to be in the playoffs. They're either going to win the division or be the wild card team. And let's find out what they do. They did give up a really good prospect to get Holmes for them. Holmes on the year 4-5, ERA is under 3. But in his last 3 starts that he has had, he's 0-3 and ERA over 6. But he's coming off injury, and hopefully he can become the pitcher. We all know he can. He's got a lot of talent here, and I thought it was a really good pickup for the Cubs to make this stretch pennant run.
Are you still of the mindset? Well, I don't want to misphrase what your mindset was. But are the Cardinals in our minds similar to the Twins in the sense of they can't keep doing this, right? Sort of area?
The Cardinals to me were more in the Nationals to me in
Oh,
that they were supposed to be one of the worst teams in baseball. Going into the season, they had one of the lower end win totals. People put them down with the Rockies and teams like that. They way overperformed the first half. The second half, they've come down to earth there. But their time's not right now. It's probably not even next year. It's the following year. So to be able to compete at this level, they've done a wonderful job. They got great defense up the middle, and they just need to get a little bit better in their starting rotation. Sonny Gray was with them. They traded him away. Contreras was their first baseman. They moved him on. So this was a rebuild season where the Twins have been that flirting with playoffs, the division for quite a while now. It was the Guardians, then the Tigers kind of stepped up. The Twins have been that bride left at the altar for the last several years and just can't get over the hump.
One other announcement this morning for Major League Baseball. The All-Star Game is returning to San Francisco in a couple years. Made the announcement today. The 2028 Midsummer Classic will be at Oracle Park, home of the Giants. They played it there in 2007. I don't know how much people care about these type of things. The location of the All-Star Game, I think they care a little bit more about the location of the Super Bowl. I don't know how much. I've been to one All-Star Game when it was in Oakland. That was before the Oakland Coliseum was seeping sewage and was a decent place to play. What was that, 87, 88-ish, somewhere around there. I certainly wouldn't put the All-Star game as like a bucket list item. But for kids, it's great to go as a kid, I think, even now. But other than that, I don't think I'd walk across the street to go to an All-Star game for free, but just because they're so meaningless. But it'll be in San Francisco if you care in 2 years.
I would have when I was a kid, and to
Yes.
get to see all those back when the All-Star game made anything meant something, and that's the event. Old man on the porch here, but back when it was National League versus American League, I think it all the luster of the game went away when they went to interleague play, and then it became no big deal. I get to see Randy Johnson face this guy or whatever, because it was you only saw those other teams if you met in the World Series, and that part went away, and now you see them all the time, and it's like big deal. And sorry to say this, but the players wanted to win. The National League players hated the American League players, and during my childhood, the American League never won. And I would watch game after game, and I'd watch Garvey and Say and Lopes and Larry Boa and Mike Schmidt and all these National League players. They just win every single year. And it was like, okay, next year it's our year. But it meant something. The players played the game, and they played it to win. It's purely it's not even a exhibition game in the sense of like spring training. Hey, look, we're going out, we're getting our work in. It's look, I showed up so I can get my bonus, and I don't necessarily want to be here. I want to get back with my family or whatever. So everything that was good about it has gone away.
Obviously, a lot more baseball to talk about, and some big series is again this weekend. We will go over those, and as I mentioned, NFL football is here. Preseason games yesterday, tonight, tomorrow. We'll dive into all of it next.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
The first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, QUI, can charge and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, QUIK, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story's incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to QuickDumpsters.com. Quick, QUIK, Dumpsters.com. Quick, QUIK, Dumpsters.com. Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
Steve has been running sports books for decades, and Rob spent decades running radio so far into the ground he just created his own network. This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show on the Rad Network.
When we were going over baseball, we did a little baseball. We're going to do a lot more later on. And when we previewed the Cubs game, I should have mentioned that's the one game we'll have during our show. They've already started. There's no score between the Cardinals and Cubs in Chicago. One of the things I like to do along the way is let you know if and when you can see various games, which coincided with a text I got during the break from Steve. He's like, "Where's the Cubs game? Why can't I find the Cubs?" You looked at it. What did you? You looked at ESPN. Did you check Major League Baseball?
This and I apologize to anybody who's really watching us on video. So I had it set up on my TV because I have the baseball package, and it was like, your event is about to start. Your event is about to start. Not a problem watching it. And then all of a sudden, while the show was going on, it came up and said it's not available on my MLB package. And I'm like, okay. So at times you'd see me and I'm like looking off to the side because I'm running through the remote and I'm checking. ESPN's got the Little League World Series, MLB Network. I scrolled down to find Marquee because that's where I get the Cubs on, and it's not on there. And I'm like, maybe I missed it. So through the whole thing. So then we hit our commercial break, and that's when I texted you. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? Where's my Cub game? I can't watch it. And this is that real life frustration that I run through that we talk about. Where is the Cubs game?
It's on Apple. I've got it on right now. But now, so the easiest way I have found, and this is not foolproof, and what I use for this show is I use ESPN and I go to the schedule, and they will list all the games and they will put TV. And again, here's why it's not foolproof. So you got the Cardinals are at the Cubs right now. They're on Apple. The second Apple, it's Friday, so they get the doubleheader. Will be at 4:15 our time. They'll get the Yankees at the Blue Jays. That's listed here on ESPN. They don't list MLB Network games. Some of us, I get the MLB Network. It's just part of my package. I don't pay premium for it or whatever. A couple of big games tonight: Red Sox, Pirates, Royals, Angels tonight. On the MLB package. So there's a couple. If you have MLB, I'm sorry, not the MLB package. Sorry. MLB Network. Just right there, the network. They're showing those two games. Apple TV is the other two. And then you got all the local games you got to look for as well. To me, this goes back, as you've said over and over again. We know you and many people rightfully are a little fed up with all of the streaming choices, et cetera. But I think the thing you really keyed in on is they don't make it easy for you to know where the games are. Because my ESPN plan doesn't show MLB Network games. Why? That makes no sense. So it's not foolproof, but it's a potential way.
And see, I have Fubo with the baseball package. And so I just go to it. And if it's on MLB, it comes up on my screen and I hit it. And then I can see the graphics from MLB Network. So I know that it's on, the MLB Network, but I still get it through this. And I think the part that frustrates me the most is it was there. I turned this game on at 10:20, so it would be ready to go, and I just see your event is about to start. Why did he even give me the option if it wasn't even going to be available? And those are the things that drive. If I'd have gone to it and said, hey, look, it's not even there. Okay, it's got to be on Peacock or Prime or, how many other choices are out there. But when it shows it on my screen and then I have it and it just keeps showing, different highlights and your event is about to start, I believe I'm going to get it, which then by the time it gets to it and you don't get it, you're even more feared. If you'd have told me from the get-go, this is like putting that bowl ice cream out in front of you and you sit there, can I eat it now? Can I eat it now? Can I eat it now? and you just keep, nope, you gotta wait, gotta wait, gotta wait. Oh, nope, can't have it.
You mentioned the Little League World Series, and my mom is so funny because she'll text me, "I'm looking for games," because she knows I could probably usually find it. ESPN and all these Little League baseball. Because my mom looks at it like they're showing Little League Baseball instead of showing Major League Baseball. I'm like, Mom, it's a money thing, and more expensive. Because ESPN is like all Little League all the time right now. All right, let's pause on baseball. Miles Garrett missed his second consecutive practice. He's got swelling in his knee. He was present, but stood and watched on the sideline with a sleeve on his leg. The reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year has missed missed four practices last week with lower body soreness. But head coach of the Rams, Sean McVay, says there's no cause for concern, nothing to see here. Quote, when he's been out there, he has certainly made his impact felt. We want to make sure when he plays, he'll return to full performance. He says Garrett has not had any setbacks in his recovery. Is this a guy that needs to be playing at all in the preseason?
No, I was thinking hold in. Here's a candidate, but then I hear what Sean McVay says, and I'm like, that's why he's such a great coach. It's why I love him. Not only his sound bites and everything else, but he knows. Look, we just need him healthy when the season starts, and he'll be able to perform. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like he doesn't need to play in the games. He can kind of work his way through practices at his own. He's Miles Garrett.
Right.
He's whatever. A little bit of news on the Chicago Bears, who announced in June they were moving forward with a stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana. Chicago's in Illinois. Indiana's next to it, for those of you that don't know. They have completed their review. The Bears have. They are doing their due diligence on what is now a slightly different plan. But the Bears, a charter NFL franchise, have played in Illinois since they were founded in 1920, moved to Chicago a year later. They were at Wrigley Field before they started playing at Soldier Field in the month and year that I was born, September of 1971. The Bears ramped up their focus on Indiana after a proposal to provide financial incentives for the team to build its new home in Illinois stalled in the state legislature. There it is. A committee in the Indiana House of Representatives passed a bill in February that established a stadium authority to finance, construct, and lease a stadium. And this exploded this whole story that everybody started talking about. Oh my God, the Bears aren't going to be in Chicago. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? We start finding out, well, actually, Hammond, Indiana is the same distance or as close or closer. The Soldier, yeah, but it's a different state. Some of the things we've heard about, we weren't sure what's the truth. The Chicago Bears, I want to get this exactly right because this is, it's not Kevin Warren, the president. This is McCaskey himself, who says the Bears have had minimal to no conversations with Illinois since June. We've heard these stories that the Illinois governor and legislature are working on things. McCaskey's like, we're not part of it. They blew it. The Bears have been pursuing a new home for years. The process has been hampered by twists and turns. Bears president, here he is, and CEO Kevin Warren says that they're now looking at the possibility of two sites in, not Illinois, Indiana. The Lost Marsh site is in Hammond, and the team discovered another nearby site called the Wolf Lake Terminal, which presents the possibility of merging the two sites together to build a stadium on. So not two different properties, but merging them for this giant. Basically, if you listen to McCaskey and Warren, the Bears, Chicago's done. If you believe them, they're going to Indiana. Now, guys like Michael Wilbon, lifelong Chicago Bears fan, who's on PTI on ESPN, he swears this ain't happening. He swears they're not leaving. I don't know. What I do know is whether they end up, or wherever they end up, I should say, it is official, they will be the Chicago Bears. Said Chairman George McCaskey, quote, "We will be the Chicago Bears, whether we're in Illinois, Indiana, Chicago, or Hammond," end quote. That was one of the big questions for those of us that are just football fans. But yes, they're the Chicago Bears, even if they're playing in Hammond, Indiana.
I'm glad to hear that they finally came out and said this. I don't know why this wasn't said, 6, 8 months ago when the Indiana part popped up. New York Jets, New York Giants. They don't play in New York. They play in New Jersey. So we've already seen it. So it's not like they have to. I mean, the Niners play in Santa Clara. They don't play in San Francisco. The Detroit Lions, Pontiac Silverdome, that wasn't in Detroit. So it just kind of surprises me it took this long before they came out. I think there would have just been a firestorm if they even entertained the thought of being the, Indiana Bears. It just would never happen. The fans would not let it happen. They're one of the founders of the NFL. There's no chance it would have happened. And I do believe if they stay in Illinois, it'll be in Arlington because they bought all of that land there. I think they own like 150 acres. It doesn't make sense to go back to like Chicago or anything like that. And I don't think they will. Especially when you say that, we hear Pritzker or whatever his name is talk about how, they're putting this together and they've been talking, and the Bears say, we haven't talked to you since June. It's been a couple of months. You keep saying you're doing all this and working with us. Well, my phone hasn't rang. And I'm just curious, what if they do go to Indiana, what do they do with the land that's sitting there in Illinois? And do they sell it? Do they sit on it? That's the other part I'm a little concerned, but let them go to Indiana. Let them go. You said it's like 20 minutes or whatever from Chicago. Have at it, get your stadium. And I hope they do it big. I hope they go, here in Las Vegas with T-Mobile Arena and how they put the restaurants all around it. You just make it, San Diego, you go down there and there's all the great food and the Gaslight District, and you have, just do it right. Make it something that's big, that brings the fans out, and it's not just the ball game, it's the food, the activities and everything else to make it a whole event for the day.
So if they wind up in Indiana, in Hammond or whatever, that's what I love about, oh, we're going to combine the two sites, because unlike say the Padres, who are right there at the part of San Diego that everybody that doesn't live in San Diego wants to be at, stay at, play at, the Gaslamp District. If you go to San Diego, that's where you stay, and there is Petco right there. Well, they don't have that in Hammond, Indiana, so they better build it. Like you said, it's got to be an event. It's got to be a place, a destination, rather, would be the name for it. Your example, the best one, in my opinion, is the Jets and the Giants, because we're talking about different states. When you look at these leagues, 30 and 32 teams, it's almost 25 at least don't play in the city that they say they do. They don't. The Dallas Cowboys aren't in Dallas. You just go down the state thing is different. But the big one is, hello, the New York Jets and Giants play in New Jersey. What's the big damn deal? That's the one that's like, everybody slow it down. They're going to be called the Chicago Bears. Great. Why would McCaskey say? I mean, he's the McCaskey. He's the family. Why would he come out and publicly say we haven't talked at all to Illinois? I don't know. I mean, obviously there's an election in November. Politics. Is he working something? Why would he lie about? Well, don't even say anything. Because there's been a lot of, I know, public polling. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, I believe he's termed out. He wants to run for president anyways. But people are going to pay if they lose the Bears. In that general area politically, and I don't know if that's part of it or whatever, but you're right. Just transparently tell us. The story is in February, you had basically put one full foot in Indiana. Now you've got half or three quarters of your other foot there. Thank you for finally telling us. I mentioned this yesterday before we get to games. Troy Aikman is both the color commentator on Monday Night Football for ESPN and a la Tom Brady, who is the lead color analyst for Fox and is also a part owner of the Raiders. Troy Aikman is a consultant for the Miami Dolphins. As a broadcaster, Aikman, like Brady, gets unique access to the teams whose game he calls, meaning he could theoretically give the Dolphins valuable information that he learns about other teams. The issue's been raised about Raiders minority owner Tom Brady serving as the top commentator on Fox. Okay. And yet they can, and you remember the stories. Does Tom Brady get to sit in these meetings? Does he go to the team meetings? Oh, wait, he's going to interview Mahomes, but we have to do it in a separate hotel room. All this other appearance stuff. But the fact of the matter is, They're calling games. They have access. Troy Aikman was asked about this, and he had a fascinatingly wild answer that 24 hours later, I'm still trying to look. The cat's out of the bag on this. This might be Roger Goodell's legacy ultimately of one of the things he really screwed up to let this get started. Or maybe we just don't care anymore because it's such a weird society. Aikman said, it's no conflict of interest. ESPN gets good teams on the Monday night schedule. Dolphins aren't expected to be good, so he won't be announcing their games this year. Quote, the Dolphins are not expected to be very good this year. They're getting out of cap hell. There's no Monday night game with the Dolphins this year, said Aikman, who went on to say NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is okay with him working for the Dolphins and ESPN. Of course he is. I don't know what Roger Goodell's fiddling while Rome's burning on this issue. Aikman says, I've talked to the commissioner. He's fine. He claims every broadcaster is conflicted because every broadcaster has friendships in the league. Quote, anyone behind a mic that's calling a game, there's a conflict of interest. You have relationships. I have friendships every week. Sorry, this is so misguided. I had to pause there. I apologize. I have friendships every week that I call a game, whether with a head coach or offensive coordinator or player or whoever it is. I would argue that every broadcaster has a conflict when they're calling a game. End quote. Aikman says he'll be transparent. Now, this is unlike Brady. Well, no, I guess Tom hasn't been in this situation, has he? Aikman says he will be transparent if he ever does call a Dolphins game and make sure the viewers know that he also works for the Dolphins. Well, good for him. That's somewhat admirable. My problem is this. Well, the thing that made me pause, that's not my only problem. I agree. He does. They all do. Has friendships. Every week, he knows guys on these teams. Absolutely. Probably has dinner with a few of them outside of the season. Any of them paying him? Is he on the payroll for any of them? No. I mean, that's the beginning and end of the conflict of interest. Now, he better not, when he goes to dinner with them, also be sharing secrets. That would just be bad, but there's no way to control that. This is a wild defense of it. And what I mean by the Goodell thing is, so is this the barometer? Is this how it is? So JJ Watt, he can go work for the Cardinals because they stink. That's no problem. Let's keep going down. Can Collinsworth? Oh, he can't consult the Bengals. They're going to be on Sunday night. Oh, so you, Collinsworth, can't do it because you might go work for a good team. That's not a policy. Not again. This isn't the NFL talking. It's Aikman. In other words, they all get to do it. I don't know where this ends and how silly and stupid in an age where everybody is in bed with each other. ESPN's in bed with the NFL, which is in bed with all of the gambling, sports booking, and everything. And I guess conflict of interest, Steve, is an old man thing. We'll add it to our list on the porch.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an old man thing. And as you're reading that, because I had not read the story, I didn't know any of it, and you're going on, and I'm sitting there going, okay, but what makes him so good about his job and what he does is because he has those relationships. He played in the league. We get to hear the stories, and he has insight that only he can have due to those relationships. That's what we want to listen to. But as you said, he's not getting paid for it. There's a big difference between having relationships and talking to people versus getting paid and or part ownership. The other question I would have asked Aikman in that interview is, if Tom Brady hadn't become owner of the Raiders and hadn't anything like that, would you have gone to work for the Miami Dolphins? I don't believe he would have. He's been in that position for so long, he didn't. But now, look, Brady's doing it. Why can't I? I have interest in becoming an owner. I'm not there yet, but I love, John Elway ran an organization as president of the Denver Broncos. This allows me to keep my job as I am, but I also get to be a consultant and work with this franchise as I move towards what I would hope was someday to have that ownership part. So I believe he's pushing it because of Brady. Well, now you got two. Each person who jumps into this situation, I believe, is going to push the needle even farther. How much closer can I get to that cliff? How much farther is Roger Goodell going to allow me to do? And we said it from the get-go. He should have shut Tom Brady down. But this is his issue now. He's the one who let it fester and build and grow. And it's just going to get more and more complicated. And now where I think he could have ended it without any lawsuits or anything. Just said, hey, look, Tom, this is a conflict of interest. You can do one or the other. Pick which one you want to do. We go there, and nothing would have happened. Now it's going to be, oh, well, you're letting them do it. And you let them do it for a couple of years. I think this is now turned into lawsuit territory. And I don't like the sue happy, society we have. Oh, you don't like anything. So I think we have way too many lawyers, way too many things. I mean, I just, it's crazy where we've gone in that part. But Roger Goodell, you allowed all this to happen, and it's only going to get worse.
This is the thing. Of course, we have way too many lawsuits, and having been married to a lawyer, even most lawyers say, yeah, there's some really stupid. Look, suing Panda Express because you didn't get the right amount of shrimp in your chow mein, that's idiotic. A league allowing people to broadcast while they are also being paid by a team or part ownership of a team, and then coming along saying, but not you, that is professional discrimination on some level that has to be addressed by an attorney. And yes, this is all on Roger Goodell. And in fact, when you said, well, how's he going to shut it down, or he will how? Unless he's using Aikman's theory, which is asinine. So what happens, by the way? Does Aikman have to choose? Does Brady have to choose in 2 years if the Dolphins or Raiders are good? I mean, again, this is Aikman speaking, but if Goodell were to adopt this, is that his policy? You have to be good. Here's what I want to see right now today. Matt Ryan calls NBC, says, I want to come back and be in the studio.
Yep.
Why not? You're the president, right, of the Falcons? Well, Tom Brady's part owner. He's even bigger than you are, and he's still on TV. Why shouldn't you be?
He shouldn't have resigned his position. He should have kept it. Said, look, I'm going to be the president of football operations with the Falcons, and that's what I'm going to do in addition to the games. I'll be there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever to prep, and I'll continue doing it. I have a phone. I have a laptop. I can Zoom meetings. It's not going to take all that time. I can do both jobs. Okay, what are you going to do?
Right. There was football yesterday. We'll start with Tom Brady's team. Kirk Cousins completed 5 of his 6 passes, threw for a touchdown in the preseason opener last night. Afterward, head coach Clint Kubiak did everything other than officially declare Cousins the opening day starter, but he did point out Cousins has been working as the starting quarterback and hasn't done anything to lose the job. He's the starter. Shut up. As for Fernando Mendoza, the only reason I would think anybody really tuned in, he went 10 of 16. He had a touchdown pass, threw for 97 yards, had some bad plays, took a sack that he shouldn't have. Kubiak acknowledged that Mendoza still has work to do. Duh. Dan Orlovsky, who for a lot of people is a love or hate guy. I just kind of listen to what he says and decide, do I love that or hate that? I don't have an opinion of him as a person. He had a very opinionated take yesterday before the game in which he said, don't rush him onto the field, talking about Mendoza. Do I think he should play at some point this year? Yes. But I think you're waiting until at least as long as you can, a situation where you're out of the playoff conversation. Kirk isn't doing the job we need him to do anymore. Let's get this guy experience. Other than that, I don't think there's anything that he should do in the preseason that says we have to play him. This guy's the difference between us winning games and losing games. Don't say that. Don't rush it. He's right. I mean, that's what we've been saying. I think for the most part.
Yeah, let him go. I'll give him credit though. I mean, he threw the ball between 3 defenders, and I don't know if you've seen it, and hit his wide receiver. It was like, wow. I'm going, why'd he make the throw? That window was so small. I mean, he had the defender in front, the defender behind, the defender coming at the receiver. He threaded the needle, put it there, and you're like, wow, that was a big time throw. And on Dan Orlovsky, see, I can't. Quarterback with the Lions. He's the quarterback that ran out of the back of the end zone and just kept running. He's 4 feet out of the end zone and just kept running to extend the play because he was scrambling and didn't realize where the back of the end zone was, as he's the quarterback for the 0-16 Detroit Lions. Seriously, is he the one? And I like Orlovsky. But as you said, he's a take it or leave it guy. But I can't take him that seriously because I know what he was as a quarterback in the NFL. And you could argue that, look, he didn't even have the talent. The guy probably shouldn't even have been a starter in college, let alone been a starting quarterback in the NFL. But I just, every time I hear him talk, I just think of him running out of the back of the end zone and not realizing he committed a safety and continuing to play through the play.
And I can't and don't argue with any of that. Again, I'm no Orlovsky apologist or whatever, but you and I didn't even play. We're sitting here telling everybody what to do.
And I get it. And you know, I mean, and good for him making that job. But on that Raiders game, Mike Washington, this running back, I'm sitting there seeing Genty. This is the kid they drafted, I want to say, in the second or third round. He looked really good too. I was like, wow. You know, I knew going into the season, my belief was this Raider, like the San Jose Sharks, the Raiders are a better team this year than they were last year. Their record, and this was the first year with the Sharks, their record may not be in year two better, but they're moving in the right direction. I like what they're doing. It's going to pay off. Just don't rush Mendoza and force him to play. And then next thing you know, he gets happy feet. We've seen it before, and he loses his confidence. Just let him sit, learn the system. I want to see him next year. I don't even want to see him take a snap this year.
I did not only see, but I watched the thread the needle pass that you're talking about a few times. And I have the ongoing question of, is this a kid who knows, who has the confidence, and he saw this opening and he in his brain calculated, I can do this, and threaded the needle and nailed it? Or did he get super lucky as he adjusts to the speed of the NFL? And this is the kind of thing he needs to learn not to do. And either one is why our plan, and Orlovsky's, is right. Let him keep doing this. Let him keep experiencing it, grow. I selfishly, as a fan, want to see him on the field at some point this year, but we'll see. By the way, the other takeaway that I had and others I saw right about was Jeremiah Love, if we actually shift over to the Cardinals, who went 11 carries, 58 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. I get it. It's preseason and all that, but it's hard to find these bright spots with the Cardinals, and I think Jeremiah Love's got to be up there.
Yeah, and speaking of the Cardinals, now this is 2 games. I mean, Carson Beck, and we talked about it last week, look great. And now you're sitting there, Garner Minshew, 14 for 16. Slovis had a really good second half last week, too. And then Jacoby Brissett, I'm going, wow, do the Cardinals have the best quarterback room in the NFL? I mean, through 2 games, you're like, and they go 4 deep that have looked great. And I know, and if people sitting out there going, is he being serious? Look, the year the Lions went 0-16, they went 4-0 in the preseason. So you can't take that much out of the preseason. But yeah, Jeremiah Love and Algier. Algier's a pretty good running back that they brought him into Arizona too. So I'm like, I think they're going to feature, a run heavy offense, hopefully put their quarterbacks in positions to succeed. And they'll still have to throw a good amount because they'll be trailing in most every single game. Let's say it. They'll be trailing in every game this season at some point. But where I was, this is clearly one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NFL. Like, hey, they got a little something. At least it makes it entertaining for preseason.
Wait. The Cardinals are clearly the worst team, worse than the Jets?
I think they're worse than the Jets because
I think the
Jets. The Dolphins. I think the Dolphins still have a little bit more talent, but I'm no longer confident in it. 10 days ago, I'd have said yes. They are clearly the worst team in the NFL. I'm no longer there because I'm like, wow, the system they're running that set the quarterbacks up to succeed. I mean, they've run 4 different quarterbacks. And I know it's not the first teamers. I'm aware for those who want to call up and say, oh, it's against second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth string teams. I get it. But the Cardinals going into this, I didn't even think they were going to be able to do that. So they've exceeded my expectations at the running back and quarterback positions to this point.
One quick Raider adjacent, Jet adjacent story. With the Raiders last year, Geno Smith led the NFL with 17 interceptions. He's on the Jets this year. Betting odds suggest the same result. He is the betting favorite to be the NFL leader in interceptions again this year, followed by Brock Purdy and Trevor Lawrence. Really? Okay.
Yes, because and I don't know offhand right now who the backup quarterback for the Jets is. But I think he's going to play more. Jacoby Brissett starts off, throws interceptions. Gardner Minshew's going to come in. So you could look at, Trevor Lawrence. I could see Lawrence up there. I think he does take a step back this year. But Geno Smith, I don't think is going to get benched in week 3, week 4. And that's where I could see it. I got to believe the Jets have to have somebody who maybe they want to see as a kid to find out, are we going to be able to go out and you're going to have a top 5 pick, if not a top 3 pick. But at least you get an idea, which is where, last night, Steeler game, Will Howard play. Just let him play. Had a great 2-minute. Sorry, I'm jumping games. But
I'm ignoring you. I'm ignoring you. I'll bring it back.
Yeah, you got to let them play and find out what you have. Geno Smith's not your long-term answer. You're going to be terrible. So, but if you got nobody, is he going to get benched?
Well, you tell me. The New York Jets backup quarterback role is an ongoing training camp competition led by favorite Cade Klubnik, alongside veterans Bailey Zappi and Brady Cook.
I don't think Zappi's going anywhere. So maybe Klubnik could, but shoot, he disappointed in college. But, at one point he was one of the top college quarterbacks in that consideration for, where he played as well. So we'll see.
Niners played last night as expected. Almost no one that mattered played. Cam Ward of the Titans, who's hoping for a big jump this season, number 1 overall pick in 2021, did not look like he's headed in that direction, at least last night against the 49ers backup defense is the evaluation of many. He played 3 series, 5 of 12, 57 yards, had a 56.6 passer rating. 2 yards, 1 carry, intentional grounding penalty, near interception. His longest completion was 18 yards. He did direct that opening 11-play, 95-yard drive, although it was like 3 or 4 on passing or something, whatever. Head coach Robert Saleh said after the game, it looked like the move to game action contributed to things getting away from Cam Ward. Quote, his decisions were right. It just felt like he was sped up more than he had been in camp. It's first time, live bullets. His mechanics were sped up, which is good because we can correct it, which is what the preseason is for. And the Titans have over a week to work on things before they host the Seahawks. And then they hope to see a calmer Cam Ward in the pocket next time he's out there. I didn't see anything as a Niner fan to comment on from San Francisco. That would be the takeaway is Cam Ward's got work to do.
Well, I got a couple comments here. One, starting with the 49ers. As you said, nobody was played for the Niners of worth type of thing. It's because they're all injured. They're all on the sideline. They couldn't have played. What? We're bringing in a 6th running back as our lead back. I don't even know who Sincere McCormick is, but he got 10 carries because he didn't have really any other running backs back there. But enough, we know the Niners are going through that, and they're going to be all right. I was surprised with Adrian Martinez at quarterback. I believe this is the guy who was at Nebraska for several years. I want to say finished up at K-State. And Curtis Rourke, quarterback out of Indiana. So I couldn't even have gone 3 and 4 deep with this team, but we got to see that. But Cam Ward, the part is year 2. This is when it settles down. This is your biggest jump and everything I've heard. And this goes into, and I know it's one preseason game, but this is where everybody's like, okay, you're going to see the real Cam. I watched the same Cam Ward hit this game and play exactly like he did last year. And I'm going, this is why I haven't cared for the guy. I know it's preseason, but as the coach said, everything got sped up and he wasn't making it. It's good because we can correct these things. Shouldn't they already be corrected at this point going into your second season? And my last one, Will Levis. I know I'm better than the 32 quarterbacks in this league that are starting.
Well, he didn't say he's better than all 32. He said there aren't 32 quarterbacks better than me or something like that, right?
Okay, let's go with that. There aren't 32 quarterbacks better than me.
Something like that.
And as bad as Cam Ward looked, Will Levis had a worse passer rating. and he was fourth on his own team. So I'm like, so does that mean Hendon Hooker, Mitch Trubisky, Cam Ward are part of those 32 that are not, well,
Right?
29 that are better than him? And that means we have at least 3 or 4 starting quarterbacks that shouldn't even be beating out Trubisky and Hendon Hooker. Is
I
that
mean,
where he's taking that comment?
I don't know about where he's taking it. I wonder, what is this about the same thing that we think is going on with the Colts? Anthony Richardson, he went out last night. He went 11 of 14, 145 yards, one interception, one lost fumble, 6 rushes, 53 yards. Pretty good performance. He himself said the turnovers overshadow the good he did. Colts head coach Shane Steichen was much more charitable, right? Because they want to trade him, they want to get rid of him, they wanted to highlight him, and maybe that is are the Titans thinking, look, Will Levis, go out and do something because they're done with Will Levis. They are done with him.
I think they were done with him when they signed Mitch Trubisky. You're not bringing Mitch
Yes.
Trubisky into camp to be a third string quarterback. And Anthony Richardson, as you said, yeah, numbers look good. 2 more turnovers. The bright spot was, and the reason he was able to go the whole time he was in there is because he knew even if he got tired, he wasn't going to have to play the whole game. So he would get to the sideline and be able to rest versus having to tap his helmet to pull himself out of the game.
To the game that Steve just can't wait to talk about. Drew Aller, only rookie quarterback on the Steelers rosters, but he wasn't the only Steeler quarterback to play last night. Will Howard, who missed preseason in 25, joined Aller in getting his feet wet against the Packers, and it was a positive night for both players. Howard followed Mason Rudolph into the game, went 7 of 9 for 86 yards, appeared to have a touchdown pass before Robert Tonyan was ruled down a yard short of the end zone. They scored anyways. Aller was 10 of 13 for 153 yards and 2 scores. Head coach Mike McCarthy had good things to say about both, saying, I like the way our quarterbacks ran the offense, very poised. Aaron Rodgers' name was not really even mentioned at all throughout the whole process. And the game turned into exactly, Steve, like you were iterating there and like you've been saying, what you would like to see in the regular season. Aaron Rodgers doesn't need to be around. Let's see what you got with Howard and Aller, especially after this is your start.
And what we watched last night's what I would have had in my quarterback room. I wouldn't have brought Rodgers back, and because again, he's not your long-term answer, and he's not going to take you to the Super Bowl. Let Aller sit there, Will Howard, Mason Rudolph for some of that veteran quarterback part, and this would have been my quarterback room. Now I'm saying Steelers need to move like Mason Rudolph and see if the Lions are willing to offer up a draft pick or one of these teams for that backup quarterback with Bridgewater retiring. Maybe Detroit has an interest in trading a 7th for Rudolph. And I would move Rudolph out. We got Rodgers, but I need to know Aller, Howard, let's give them some practice time. I need to find out if either of these quarterbacks can play because I need to have a game plan going into next season.
Especially, as you said, all the quarterbacks available in the draft, and you can believe as much as you want that Aaron Rodgers is going to lead you to the promised land. You're going to have a pretty good draft pick. We do have to talk about Steve's Lions, who played last night, all the games this weekend, tonight as well. And we do have baseball still, but my Labrador Sarge needs to poop. So we're going to take a break.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A microseal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes microseal this way with a bunch of AI words. Microseal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah 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 and blue 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 blue. What AI is trying to say is that microseal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and although AI doesn't say this, it should, you need to contact a longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get him to apply microseal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had microseal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. Microseal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? What? There's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about microseal and everything else that Joel offers. At AdvantageSteam.com, that's AdvantageSteam.com, AdvantageSteam.com.
This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show. Call the show at 888-587-5355 or email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
As we head into the bottom of the fourth and the only day game going on right now, both the Cardinals and the Cubs have perfect games going. Who's pitching right now? Liberatore for the Cardinals has thrown 3 1/3. Given up no runs, no hits, no walks, and he struck out 3. Holmes for the Cubs has gone 4 full innings, no walks, no runs, 2 Ks, any errors. That's the only thing I'm missing here. Either way, there's no score.
In a game that I love to watch, dual no-hitters. And
well, why don't you get Apple then, dude? I got Apple. I'm watching it.
How much more am I going to spend for these streaming devices?
I know, and that's a real problem. It is. I don't mean to be callous. I'm just being callous to you. The game we didn't get to from last night, your game. We'll start with the Bengals. The big word, Burrow, and everybody's going to play. Well, it seems like defensive end Cassius Howell, the team's second-round pick, who took advantage of a slick ball and recovered a fumble on a botched handoff, and wide receiver Colby Young, the team's 4th-round selection, kind of stood out because they're the ones nobody had seen, etc. For your Lions, Luke Altmaier got the preseason quarterback debut, an undrafted free agent out of Illinois, went 13 for 21, 130 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. Of course, Teddy Bridgewater said, I'm retiring, so the Lions had to move. They did sign quarterback Joshua Dobbs, who entered the game in the second quarter, ended with 32 passing yards, 4 of 8 as well. Did you see, hear, or read anything that interested you about your team or anything that happened last night in that game?
No. Altmaier, week and a half ago, didn't even know who the guy was because I didn't think we'd ever even see him except in preseason. I found it interesting that, like, early on in the game, because I didn't have the game. I don't even know where you could have watched it, but if you had it, great, because you have all those streaming devices. And I can't even watch that either. But like immediately Burrows got sacked, and that was like the big video that was going out there, and it said, hey, look here, same old Bengals early in, they're going to play their starters, Joe Burrow taking a 10-yard sack or whatever it was.
The only thing, no, that was not a game I could find anywhere. I also couldn't find to watch the Patriots Colts game, which ended in a tie. Nobody cares, preseason. The only thing I saw at all from that game was how Mike Vrabel really violently threw a challenge flag onto the field. Did anything come out of this game I should care about? Because I didn't see anything.
No, but if he threw that challenge flag violently, they're going to pull it away from him. They're going to give it to that other guy on the sidelines
That was the joke.
so that
That
he
was the
can't
joke.
do that.
I,
Oh, was
I
it? Okay.
literally they couldn't find any reason to talk. Like this morning on Get Up, I think it was. They said, "Well, Mike Vrabel, he's probably gonna be the first coach that has the flag taken out of his hand," and then they show it because whatever. Again, if this is all voluntary, the coaches can or can't have somebody else in charge of the flag. But that's how much they were reaching to find something there. Tonight, you got 3 games. The Broncos are at the Falcons. Buccaneers are at the Jets. Ooh, thank you so much for that. That's on the NFL Network at 4. Uh, why that one? And Miami is at Washington. In terms of, let's start with the Atlanta game. Tua Tagovailoa will start. Falcons are not ready to hand him the job because, as we've reported, Michael Penix still isn't cleared. So there is no competition yet. And Michael Penix, for what it's worth, says he's doing great. In fact, he said, quote, I can do anything I'm supposed to, but I can't take a hit. And that's what we're trying to stay away from right now. That's kind of a big deal. He should be able to take a hit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's going to get hit in the game, so he's still a ways away. I wish they'd just come out and say it. Look, he's not playing till October. He's still right on track. We never expected him to be back at the beginning of the season, and just take a little bit of that pressure off.
I don't, there's no competition. Exactly. Just say that.
Mhm.
Ugh. Meanwhile, Tua will not be playing against Bo Nix. Denver Broncos coach Sean Payton said that while Bo Nix's recovery from 2 surgeries on his right ankle are going well, he will not play tonight. He did add that Nix will play in the Broncos' final 2 preseason games against the Packers and Vikings, both of which are in Denver. So instead, you'll get Jarrett Stidham. Remember him? He was the hero. And Sam Ellinger.
Ellinger.
Sure, whatever. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to say it again this year. So what do I care? All right. Updates. Just some. So there's football tomorrow as well. We have some announcements. Bears quarterback Caleb Williams will not play in the team's preseason opener tomorrow against the Browns. Coach Ben Johnson is leaning towards not playing Caleb at all in the preseason. Good, bad? Should he be in there a little bit?
I think you got to be out there just a little bit, because no matter how much you scrimmage, it's not the same as game action. I would play him like a quarter next week, the first quarter, and say, okay, you're going to run with the first team just to get some action. And I would also give him, look, don't be scrambling around, don't put yourself in harm's way. Somebody comes to sack you, get out of the pocket, throw it into the stands, anything, but you don't want to take a hit. But I think you still need some of that game action.
The Browns, meanwhile, will be starting Deshaun Watson against the Bears tomorrow. All-Pro Shedeur Sanders will start the team's second preseason game against the Bills, and Browns coach Todd Monken informed the quarterbacks of this after practice. Yesterday, Watson and Sanders have been alternating, blah, 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 blah. Head coach Joe Brady said that quarterback Josh Allen and all of their healthy starters will play in a limited capacity in Saturday's home preseason opener against the Panthers. Unfortunately, many people will not be able to see the action because of the obstructed views.
And that's where my question was going to go is, are they just, look, we got to deflect the stadium fiasco here with the obstructed views. Let's bring them out, home opener. Let's put our stars out there so maybe people won't be as focused on their bad views.
I mean, that's all I would watch the game for. Oh, it's not even on TV on Saturday. At least it's not listed, but that would be the reason I'd watch. Well, I'll check internet. The fans that'll go and intentionally sit in those seats and go, see. New Orleans head coach Kellen Moore said that backup quarterback Spencer Rattler will start tomorrow's game against the Jaguars as this guy whose name I still screw up, Tyler
Shuck.
It can't be Shuck. There's no
You can say anything you want. That's the way I've been told over and over and over again. It's shuck, like you're shucking an ear of corn.
I'll try to remember. He is the established starter after a promising rookie season last year, and it is not clear if he'll play at all in the preseason. Rattler is competing to be Shuck's backup with Zach Wilson.
Hard to believe Zach Wilson's still in the league.
And
sitting in a third stringer. I mean, don't you bring in somebody other than him to be your third? That's your rookie. That's your practice team guy. That's something. It's not Zach Wilson.
By the way, you just reminded me, and me looking at the one other thing that I want to mention reminded me, the one takeaway I had from that Chargers game yesterday, which I was able to watch, was Trey Lance. Trey Lance or Justin Fields? I always screw him up. Who's the backup for the Chargers? He looked great. He had some really good runs, some really good plays. And watching them, I started to do that thing in my head of best quarterback rooms, the legitimate best quarterback rooms, right? We know the Niners got to be up there with Mac Jones as a backup. And you look at other teams with really good, the Chiefs, Mahomes, and the other one.
Justin Fields.
I don't know why I do that. I've always done it. I've always screwed up Trey Lance and Justin Fields. And then you got Herbert and Trey Lance. I mean, those are pretty good. Those are three. I'm not saying they're the three, but I was really impressed with them yesterday.
Good, because he may have been the best game you've ever seen him play. Being, you watched him with the Niners and he didn't accomplish a whole lot there. If I was you, every time I'd see him, I'd just kind of cringe and go, that was the third pick in the draft for him, and it's everything you traded away. Going, oh man, why couldn't we have done something other than him?
Yeah, although my cringe goes towards Lynch, who's been great. I love John Lynch. Yeah. I always rooted for Trey Lance, just as a guy, as a person. I like his story. I would like to see him be somewhat successful, even if it's just as a backup. That's okay.
And I will give Lynch credit here. Pretty much almost no GM. I'd give the Eagles room because we still see Jalen Hurts in there. You can't swing and miss like that. Make that kind of a trade, give up future capital, that high of a draft pick on a complete and total bust that didn't even contribute a single thing to your organization and still remain one of the top teams in the NFL. That's a tribute to Lynch. And you can say all you want, and I can make fun of that pick as much as I want. But he was able to survive, make it happen. Brock Purdy's made us forget everything about Trey Lance. And you got to be a great GM to be able to pull that off.
And I've heard people suggest that Lynch's ability to extricate him from that disaster might be one of his best accomplishments when his career is fully written. The other game we have a little bit of recon on. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid said last week Mahomes would probably sit out the team's first season game against the Rams, and previously said he didn't know if Mahomes will play at all in the preseason. Didn't offer any definitive answers yesterday, except that Mahomes will be on the bench. That's a departure from how the Chiefs have typically handled preseason work in the past years. But again, with him coming off the injury, he won't be playing when Kansas City plays tomorrow. Justin Fields, Garrett Nussmeier, and Chris Oladuncan will handle the quarterback work for the Chiefs this weekend.
And of every quarterback in the NFL, and every single one, the one quarterback that should be at the top of the list as not playing a single snap in preseason should be Patrick Mahomes. He wasn't supposed to play in September. We were talking October. Why, oh, why would you ever walk him out there for a preseason snap? That would be crazy town.
We are now halfway through the game in Chicago, and I have just confirmed there have been no hits or errors for either team. We now have Holmes throwing 5 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 Ks. And Libator's about to throw his 5th inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 Ks. We'll be
And
back.
of course, the game I can't watch.
Continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
The first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, Q-U-I-K Dumpsters.com. That's QuickDumpsters.com. Corey's yet another maggot launching his own locally owned and operated business, and boy, did I need him, and really we all do. Things pile up, you get frustrated, you keep saying, "We need to make a dump run." Pretty soon it's more than a dump run, and now you need to rent a truck or have one of those ugly upside down box cars parked in front of your house that you fill up yourself. Or you do like I did, you call Corey at QuickDumpsters.com. In my case, my house had fallen into complete disarray as my late wife Christina had lost her 2-year battle with congestive heart failure, and amongst the many things left were gathering her things and finding what to donate, what had to just go in that pile of stuff where we were both going, why did we ever buy this? And it all could have been so overwhelming had Corey not just walked in, taken charge, and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, Q-U-I-K, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story's incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to QuickDumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, Dumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, Dumpsters.com. Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
Welcome to the Rob and Steve Show. Like so many men, they played sports all the way through high school and then realized we suck. Let's just watch and talk about sports. Email them, ras@theradnetwork.com.
I suppose the level to which this affects on-the-field issues depends entirely on whether you believe or not the Atlanta Falcons matter. this season. Just announced, as expected, the NFL has suspended defensive end James Pierce Jr. following a February domestic violence incident that resulted in 3 felony charges. He's out 8 games, would be eligible to return on November 2nd. We mentioned that it existed yesterday. I'll give it just a little bit more time. Jordan Spieth was bogey free for 5 under 65. That gave him a 4-way share of the lead in the FedEx St. Jude Championship in golf. He's outside the top 50 in the FedEx Cup, who advanced to the BMW Championship next week. Half the field is already assured of heading that way. Scotty Scheffler, number 1 player in the world, opened with a 68. Rory McIlroy with a 74. And on it goes. I appreciate golf trying. The FedEx Cup has never really done it for me. Golf in and of itself is okay right now as they try to figure out what do we do post-Tiger, post-Phil, but I have no interest in this at all whatsoever. But I'll report it because we have a job to do.
Yeah, I watched the 4 majors. I watch the Masters, and I pay attention to the other 3 majors, and that's pretty much it. And once we get to this point, I let it go. It just I don't even
It's
look at it.
it's baseball and football all the time now, and then you give us a couple more weeks. Well, golf will be done when we get to basketball and hockey. So in the game that Steve can't watch because he doesn't have Apple TV, the Cubs have broken up their no-hitter. The Cubs have broken up the Cardinals no-hitter, I should say. They got a hit. Cardinals still haven't gotten a hit. It's still scoreless in the 5th inning. Mariners rookie shortstop Colt Emerson will be optioned to AAA Tacoma before tonight's game against the Astros. He's hitting 190 with 8 homers and 23 RBI in 69 games. If you're going, why do I know the name? He is the 21-year-old shortstop who signed a $95 million 8-year contract back on April 1st. And his struggles at the plate have only intensified recently. Of course, the Mariners are 57 and 65 after beating the Yankees 1-0 yesterday to snap their 6-game skid. They are 5 games behind the Astros in the American League Worst. They are 3.5 games back for the American League wild card, but that puts them a game and a half behind the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Puts them 2 full games behind the Guardians, 2.5 games behind the Twins, and 3 full games behind the Rangers. Okay, this is it. If you haven't already ruled out Seattle, this is the weekend. They're at Houston, the first place team in the American League West by 2 games. Seattle's at Houston all weekend. They got George Kirby tonight against Peter Lambert.
And you're right. This is where they need to step up and do something. They're coming off a win. They finally got a win. 1-0 over the Yankees. Logan Gilbert had a really nice outing here. Colt Emerson's going to be a really good player. They just need to get his confidence right now. I want to say, as I think you said, he's hitting something like $190, but he's got like 220 at bat, something like that. So they let him play. They did what they needed to do at this point. Okay, he's got a really good taste. Send him down now, get his confidence, and hopefully when they call him up, he'll never go down again. In tonight's game, Kirby against Lambert. Kirby, again, this Mariners team so up and down. 8-9, ERA of 3.6. But his last 3 outings, his Mariners have really struggled. 0-1 ERA sitting at 4.5. And Lambert, he's been really good. They need somebody because Hunter Brown had been hurt. They traded away Arrighetti. Lambert, 88-6. His ERA sitting right around 3. His whip is 1.1. Although he's 0-1 in his last 3 outings. Again, ERA at 3.5. His whip's a little bit higher at 1.3. They need to just get a little pitch in here with the Astros. Big series. And either team goes 3-0 and sweeps the other, you're now dominating first place in that division.
Who knows what we'll be talking about Monday in the American League West. We've been chronicling the ongoing trials and tribulations of Hunter Green. Obviously, the Cincinnati Reds pretty much don't matter, but Hunter Green will not only be out the rest of this season, now they're saying he'll miss all of next year. After undergoing Tommy John surgery to repair a ligament in his right elbow, he did this in 2019 as well. He's the guy we told you about this year, 2-2, 6.83 ERA and 5 starts. But if he could just be healthy, he might really dominate the game. In April of 23, he signed a 6-year, $53 million contract extension that goes through 2029, but now he'll miss all the way through 2027. Having nothing to do with Hunter Green, the Reds held off the White Sox for a 9-8 victory yesterday. What matters there is the White Sox, who are in first by 2.5 games in the American League Central, and they are part of this list. There's so many good series this weekend. What about those Detroit Tigers, who are in second place, 2.5 games behind the White Sox in the American League Central? The Detroit Tigers are your wild card team right now, your third team in the American League. This is the same Detroit Tigers that traded away Skubal and Mize. And they will spend this weekend hosting the Chicago White Sox. I mean, you love the way this stuff happens. They're going to start today with Sean Newcomb going for Chicago against Jackson Jobe.
And I love the way these right now, those interdivisional games. Tigers, Jackson Jobe, this is their top pitching prospect. He came up last year, was pretty good at the beginning of the year, injury. And so he missed, the majority of last season and through the all-star break of this season. But this kid can bring it. He throws up towards 100 miles an hour. In his one start, he went 5 innings, did not allow a run. His whip was 0.4 in that outing, had a great outing. But now we're into start 2, 3, and 4 as he starts to stretch it out. What's he going to do? As Rob said, the Tigers, just we're cheering for them. They're playing great baseball right now. If the playoffs started this morning, they would be that last wild card team, which is just crazy to think about it with trading away Skubal and all of the problems they had when just think if they were decent when Skubal went down versus being the worst team in baseball. Sean Newcomb is going for the White Sox. He's a reliever. This is a bullpen game that they're going with here. Not a whole lot there. We'll see where they go. The news with the White Sox, they did get that loss yesterday. Davis Martin went on the IL. He was the pitcher who threw in that game. He got tossed for throwing a pitch, a couple pitches near the head of the batter. But he had a blister on his finger. He's got to go get that healed up. But he has not been, and I want to say in his last 3 or 4 starts, and he started the season great. Last 3 or 4 starts, I want to say his ERA has been over 10. So he hasn't been good right now. They need to get him down there, get the blister issue resolved, get him back up because they're going to need him in September for that pennant run.
Well, and I would ask this even if we weren't rooting for the chaos. What's your read? What's your feel on the White Sox and on this series? Detroit has won 7 of their last 10, while Chicago has lost 6 of their last 10. They're in Detroit. It's not out of the realm. Again, we're talking, divisional, the likeliness of a sweep, but boy, 2 out of 3. How's your overall feel? These White Sox, who have been surprising all year, can they hold it?
I think they can because they don't quit. This team plays really good fundamental baseball, and they have some power going into Detroit. But I like Detroit. They're a better team at home. They're playing really good baseball right now. They're moving runners over. It's like they're the ultimate underdog. Everybody doesn't give them a shot. We watch Skubal. The thing people don't understand is going into last year, and Skubal, best pitcher in baseball, but the Tigers felt that Jackson Jobe was that legit almost 1B to Skubal. They have that high of hopes that Jackson Jobe can be an elite pitcher, front of the rotation, number 1 guy in the major leagues. He has that kind of stuff. And if he can step up and throw like that the second half, hate to say it, but I mean, every team can't replace a Skubal. But if Jackson Jobe were to throw to what his potential is, he's going to be right there in easing their pain. With yesterday, Montero, another good outing. We don't even know who this guy is. And Melton has been off the charts, incredible this year for the Tigers. So they might have enough to win this division.
So the missing name, the unmentioned name, because we did talk about the Twins earlier in that AL Central. They were, for up until 2 weeks ago, it was them or the White Sox. Them or the White Sox is the Cleveland Howardians, who are now 4 games back. They have lost 7 of their last 10. And it seems like this is an odd thing for me to do, but I will segue over to the San Diego Padres, who are 8 games back of the Dodgers in what we believe is the settled American League West, although we got some Dodger talk to do here in a second. Padres are in right now today, back to if we were doing the playoffs, if it was today, yeah, the Tigers would be in. So would the Padres. In fact, they're the second wild card right now. Why would I mention this together? Because here's another one of these great series. The Padres are in Cleveland all weekend. Both teams so much on the line. Michael King and Gavin Williams will do it this afternoon for us tonight for Cleveland. It's 4:10 Pacific time.
Yeah, and what a bad time for Cleveland to go into the slump type of thing. I mean, the White Sox, they then lose 2 out of 3 to the Tigers, and now they're pulling the Padres, who's arguably one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in baseball. Gavin Williams is their ace. He's the guy they rely on. He's 11-6 on the season. His whip's sitting right around 1. His last 3 outings, although he's 1-1, his ERA is 2, and his whip is 0.60. He is throwing the ball as well as he has all season right now. Padres, hottest team out there. Michael King's been their ace. They brought in Robbie Ray, brought in Casey Mize to help with this rotation. Walker Buehler had a great outing in his last one. And the bats have woken up. Jackson Merrill's on a tear. The guy's hitting like 400 over his last couple of weeks. We're getting some power out of Tatis. This Padres team lineup is starting to do what we expected them to do at the beginning of the season. They're getting strong pitching, and we know Mason Miller out of the bullpen. This is the best closer in the game. King on the season, 7-8. Win-loss isn't there. ERA at 3.3. His whips 1-1. This is going to be a great game. The Padres looking to extend it, but the Guardians have to find a way. You can't go into this, which was like your 10-game really important stretch, and then lay an egg like they have this part. So they need to wake up. They need to find a way to win this game tonight to give them a shot to win 2 out of 3 in this series.
And to do so, they would either have to beat Randy Vasquez tomorrow or on Sunday. The Padres are throwing the newly acquired Casey Mize against Tanner Bibby. Great series for the weekend. And with the Padres, they're sitting right there with that wild card position. They are a half game above the Phillies. And I'm sorry, the Phillies are in. They're the third team. Half game out are the Arizona Diamondbacks. You've said all along these teams need to focus on each other. They're not winning the West, the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Do they beat each other up because they get to play each other? Can they both get into the playoffs? Arizona's got their handful this weekend. They are in Atlanta starting tonight. Lucky them. Blandon Platt will be throwing for Arizona against Chris Sale.
And this is a great matchup. Arizona's been playing really good baseball, even though they've lost their last 2. As you said, they've been trying to hold off the Padres in that. Fod has been outstanding for the Diamondbacks, 6-1 on the year, 2.5 ERA. His whip is sitting right around 1. And he has not, in his last 3 outings, he's gone 20 2/3 innings, has not allowed an earned run in his last 3 starts. Chris Sale, Cy Young candidate, having just another great season. 12-7, ERA of 2.2, whip sitting at 1. He's 2-1 in his last 3 outings. His whip is at 0.83. Fod's whip in his last 3 are 0.82. Again, 2 pitchers throwing the ball as well as they have all season long in 2 teams that Braves are hoping to hold on here out of that division and hold the Phillies off, and they've extended that lead, riding their 2-game winning streak here. Arizona's got to get back in the win column. 2 straight losses now. Need to have a nice series against the Braves, and really looking forward to it. Diamondbacks have not been as good on the road as they have been at home. They've been really outstanding at home so far of the year. So we'll see where this goes. But this is another one of those games and series like the White Sox Tigers that I will be watching probably all 3 games this weekend.
It's head spinningly difficult because there's so many, because we're at that time of the year and all these wild card teams that matter. The Padres are 8 back of the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks are 9 back of the Dodgers in a division we've assumed all year long and still assume belongs to the Dodgers, but they've hit a patch. By Dodger standards, my God, they're 6-4. I'm sorry, they're 4-6 in their last 10. And then an answer we've already given them is still elusive. The Dodger Stadium crowd of over 46,000 last night serenaded closer Edwin Diaz with "Boo! You suck!" because Diaz had inherited a 2-run ninth inning lead against the Brewers and watched it evaporate as the Dodgers lost 5-4 on a night when Sasaki overcame bouts of wildness, and 5 relievers were used after him. Diaz has now blown 3 saves in his past 4 appearances. His ERA, 14 appearances into a $69 million contract, is 11.57. And in spite of that, the Dodgers plan to stick with him as their closer. Fresh off sweeping the Royals, they have a bullpen of 4.71 ERA since the start of July. That's 23rd in the majors. When asked whether he would consider temporarily removing Diaz from the high-pressure closing role, manager Dave Roberts gave the response, quote, "Give me another option." Okay, we will. We already have. It's all right there. It's literally being handed to you. Your closer sucks. Your star pitcher probably shouldn't be working as much. How about Ohtani closes like we said he should moving forward?
It fits the narrative. And as you said, I think you said the Dodgers are 4-6 in their last 10. Keep in mind, that's a 3-game sweep of the Royals, where the Royals took them deep in every one of those games. And the Dodgers had to rally in order to win. Watch this game. Loved it. Oh, I loved it watching the Brewers come back in the 9th inning, score 3 in the top of the 9th, watching Edwin Diaz, who I want to say in his last 5 outings has allowed at least 1 run or more in 4 of those 5 outings. But as Dave Roberts said, give me a better option. And yes, you and I go to Ohtani. Here you go. Let's take some of the stress off of his arm. And when he comes back, make him a closer instead of that starting pitcher. What? They got Tanner Scott and their bullpen. This is the weakness we've been talking about. Their bullpen has not been good. It's been taxed. They've thrown a decent amount of innings. They need to shore it up. It's kind of surprising they didn't really address it at the trade deadline. And, they all in on Skubal, great. But the bullpen is not a surprise. They have not been a dominating bullpen this year. They've had it. We the Tanner Scott, and he's getting death threats. If you remember a couple of months ago when he blew a couple of games. They do have Yamamoto tonight in the second game of this series. Yamamoto's been outstanding. This is a guy who's flying under the radar, probably because he pitches for the Dodgers. 11-7, ERA of 2.6. His whip on the season is 0.88. We talk about elite is under 1. This guy's under 0.9. He's been fantastic. And that Dodger offense helps him playing for the Dodgers. But Yamamoto is one of the elite pitchers in the game. And Gasser going for the Brewers, been a surprise. He's 3-4, ERA of 4.5. But in his last 3 outings, he's 1-0. His ERA is 3.6. His whip is 1.2. He's keeping them in the games to give the Brewers a shot to win late. And that's all the Brewers can ask out of the back end of that rotation. And he's been pretty decent. He's not a front end of the rotation guy, but just give him a chance. That's what he's been able to do. And this is the 3rd series that I'm anxious to watch all the games in these series, because this is another great one. Brewers could not afford to lose. And I'm watching that game going, man, this is going to be 4 in a row. Here come the Cubs. This could really, they hold on and they lose a bit here. The Cubs are going to pass them up. But with that comeback, I'm like, that's the excitement. That's the momentum you need. You got to win another one here in LA, at least get out 2-2 and just discount that getting swept by the Padres and try to make that run to hold off the Cubs.
By the way, Tanner Scott did an okay job when he was filling in for Diaz. Problem is they want him to be in a different position. They want to use him in a different role. They will go to Tanner Scott for now. But yes, when Ohtani's ready, I don't know why they don't head there. As for those Brewers, they did not have second baseman Bryce Terang last night. Manager Pat Murphy told reporters an MRI on his left knee didn't reveal anything serious, but they're getting a second opinion on the imaging to make sure. Terang is very important to the Brewers. He leads them with 76 RBI and his 16 home runs, ranked 3rd on the team. We went over tonight's game. the series is so delicious for so many reasons. As you alluded to, Steve, we've been talking about the Brewers. They're down to a 4-game lead over the Chicago Cubs, who are dealing with the Cardinals all weekend. The Brewers will spend the weekend dealing with the Dodgers. You did tonight's game. Tomorrow, Mizorowski and Wroblewski. Sunday, Logan Henderson against Skubal. You can't ask for much better than this.
Yeah, and that's great. And Bryce Terang, he's not a known name, but Bryce Terang is arguably the best second baseman in baseball. This kid is really good. He's put it up for the last several years. And if you don't know who he is, take a look at him because he really is one of the top, if not the top second baseman in the game right now.
Standout rookie Peyton Tolley allowed 2 hits over 8 innings. Caleb Durbin hit a grand slam, and the Boston Red Sox ended their 5-game skid with a 7-0 victory over the Blue Jays yesterday, as the Red Sox also placed Garrett Whitlock on the IL, retroactive to the 10th. He can return in 12 days, although the team has yet to indicate what the expectation is. But even losing him for 15 days is notable. He and closer Aroldis Chapman are the most formidable 1-2 bullpen punch in the sport. The bullpen is what I've been saying as the ejected one on the show about the Red Sox, because I'm not a fan, is why I'm so in on the Red Sox for going deep in the postseason. Their bullpen is extraordinary. This stings if it doesn't at least hurt. Red Sox are 9.5 back of the Rays in the East, but they're in the playoffs right now today. They would be right behind the Yankees in the wild card, and they've got a +5 lead there. They're going to spend the weekend in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, we will miss out on what I really wanted to see. Sonny Gray against Skeens. Gray's going tomorrow. Skeens is going Sunday. But tonight, the Red Sox are throwing Jake Bennett at Bubba Chandler.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize that Garrett Whitlock injury. I think that's a bigger injury to the Red Sox and their hopes than Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet was their ace, but they have that depth at the starting pitching, and we've seen them continue going and have been pretty successful, I'd like to say, in the last month and a half with Crochet, still on the IL. Whitlock was the guy who set it all up to hand it off to Chapman for the ninth. Big win last night with Peyton Tolley, 2-hit, 8 innings, dominating game. That's the game I want to see from a lot of these good young pitchers. Tonight's game, they got Jake Bennett going. This guy's been a surprise. I'll be honest with you. Didn't expect anything like this. He's 7-5 on the season, ERA of 3.2. His whip on the season is 1.02. He has been great, but he has struggled a bit as of late. Last 3, his ERA is over 5. His whip sitting right at 1.3. Bubba Chandler going for the Pirates. Good live arm, just wild. Cannot get it under control. 5-7. His whip's at 1.4. His ERA is 4.3. He has pitched better as of late, though. He's had a couple of good outings. He's 2-0 in his last 3. ERA at the 3 range. Whip under 1.3 at 1.28. This is the Bubba Chandler they need if he's going to turn into a quality, I'm not saying elite, but that good number 3 starting pitcher on a staff. They need the one that's been out there the last 3 games. And a big game. Can the Red Sox now take this momentum? They lost 3 of 4 by winning last night's game against the Blue Jays. They need to get back on that winning streak and continue their trend. Pirates just trying to hang in the playoff picture. So disappointing. This is the team I thought was going to make the playoffs. They continue to flounder. Them and the Texas Rangers. What are they doing?
We'll get to the Rangers in 1 second, I promise. We on the Red Sox, we had that story earlier in the week that Garrett Crochet, he's all ready to pitch out of the bullpen when he's healthy. Maybe he can just fill in for Whitlock.
Yeah, but we're talking pitch out of the bullpen come playoff time. He's not going to be back till September at the earliest.
Okay, so let's see. To those, what are they doing? Texas Rangers, well, right now they're 2 games back of the Astros. They're half a game behind the Tigers for the wild card. They're right in the thick of it. So they have a weekend. This is that under the heading of, if you're serious, you can't lose weekend for the Rangers. Meanwhile, the A's can play spoiler to their American League West opponents. The A's will be hosting all weekend long the Texas Rangers tonight. Kumar Rocker goes against Gage Jump.
Yeah, and where my shot at the Rangers is I mean, they just just lost 3 straight to the Angels. This is their divisional. This is to make our run. 3 against the Angels, 3 against the A's, go 6-0. We're in first place. And they lose to the Angels 3 games. They got the A's now. They got to do something. But if the A's team that showed up against the Red Sox is a pretty good team, Gage Jump is going 5-7. He's been inconsistent. Started the season really good, fell off, but he's had his moments. Learning at the major league level, I love it. They're letting
he's
him
looking
pitch
better
through it.
again. He went down and he has looked better his last 2 or 3 outings, 6 innings, 2 runs, that kind of thing.
Yes, and this is where you learn how to pitch, and you realize, look, I can't just get by with my heater. I have to develop another quality major league level that I can throw in any count at any time in the strike zone, and it's going to make him a better pitcher. Kumar Rocker, very inconsistent. 3-9 in the season. He's better than the record says. ERA is a little under 5. Last 3, his ERA is 6.6. His whip is 1.8. Electric arm. He can bring it. Can't find the strike zone. So if the A's can be disciplined up there and he's in that wildness, you're going to get a decent amount of walks. But the Rangers, you can't lose 2 out of 3. You have to find a way to sweep the A's. And the A's are handing it to you. They haven't played good in a month plus. They're giving you that opportunity. And watch, the A's will still win 2 out of 3.
Hey, look, you were talking about, as you said, Angels and A's back to back. You got to go 6-0. How about they go 0-6?
Oh,
Then what? Look, the A's, obviously, I'm a fan of the A's, and this is not dream territory. This is analysis. They're throwing the best they got at the Rangers.
Yeah.
Which ain't saying much. Gage jumped tonight, but he's been looking good. JT Ginn tomorrow, and the newest, greatest pitcher on the A's roster Sunday, Jacob Lopez. That's the best the A's can do. Now, granted, that doesn't help them in the 7th and the 8th, which is when they lose. But this is their opportunity to do something and spoil the Rangers. I would love to talk about the Rangers going 0-6.
If you can get length out of these starters, and you tell me right now that all 3 go 6 innings, I'll take my shot in every game and say the A's got a shot to win it.
So we've been highlighting half a dozen series. We can't miss this weekend. The other side of that is the worst of the weekend. Now, the way I do it is you can't count the A's in Texas because Texas matters. Any series that has a team that matters doesn't count. So when I just looked at the weekend, I mean, at the top, Miami at Cincinnati. Well, I don't know, but not even close. You got the Royals at the Angels or the Rockies at the Giants. Literally, the 4 worst teams in baseball are playing against each other this weekend.
If it was football, it's battle of the number 1 draft pick in the upcoming draft right there. 4 worst teams, hands down in baseball, playing each other.
Have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting, and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited.